Hello everyone. The title of today's talk is Working with Existential Maturity. And so I begin to suggest that this talk, like many of the talks before, has no audience. It is simply a moment, and this is its design. Now, when we observe how we work with existential maturity, it's an aspect of your being acknowledging another aspect of your being. What are we here to study aside from the steps that we can see? Your sight and your awareness to your senses is an immediate thing to bring into your awareness. It's of immediate importance because you need to be aware of your presence. And your presence does not need to be bounded into the localities suggested by ideas, which are just considerations made relevant based on an experiential engagement. There are moments in the human being's life process that he comes to a mirror, whether it's a mirror in his room or whether it's a mirror of existence. You begin to see that the moment of being and the intelligence found in the presence is suggesting the possibility for your next step. Because if you were to do anything in this world, you would begin from here. If you were to go change the world right now, you would begin from here. And so the most important thing is, as you become aware, you see you have been existent in many ways. And so as consciousness, you're not bound by imagery, actually. There's the relationship of enslavement is still a creative phenomena from the present moment, in a sense. Even though there is an experience of change, the projection is not here. We think people die. No, they're jumping from reality to projection to manifestation to being. And as you look into the most natural mirror known to man, the clarity in your eyes will become held differently by that which is aware. You will see it is not about the immediate object, it is how you are receiving that which is here. And so that reception is not bound to an individually conscious sense of idea. It is actually silence and stillness. It is a very interesting phenomenon because what man sees is that many spiritual seekers, they are seeking some spiritual concepts at first. There's imagery there, but what is the journey and what the spiritual journey in a sense gives you, or is a shift of experience, and so you cannot be bound by the same beliefs, for you are existentially aware of an intelligence that is beyond the previous frame. It's as if the picture has just broke the frame because it's still being drawn. If one was to now enter a sense of observance, sense of silent and still observance, one would begin to see that manifestation is untouchable. And so there are moments throughout the day, even right now perhaps when you're hearing my talk, where you're aware that you're here, but you're also aware that here is somewhere. Your senses, by receiving, it's as if before cause and effect could happen, there had to be an instant of clarification. There had to be an instant of manifestation. Do you see? So where did the cause and effect originate from? In an instant, because we don't realize it. It's not about how much our sciences and theories are trying to break the rules of our world by being updated, but rather it is in a sense seeing the nature of the plane of existence we're in is suggesting how the vision of man is moving. There are some similarities, there are some distinctions. You are you, you know. And from that view, the universe is originated as well. And so you must recognize this. You must have an integrative mind. You must be able to listen to your enemy, listen to your friend, and begin to see that all audiences were here. For once you become aware of the audience of life, like for example, you go into nature and you're like, gosh, life is just living, you know. You at the same time become aware there is no need for an actor, for it is the social phenomena and how our social systems are made and how culture in a sense has progressed that it is making people feel individually in a certain suffering or whatnot, feel individualized because the audience, because the environment is requiring an individual communication. When you go in nature, there's nobody there, and so you see it's as if your whole being does not require constantly an individual projection to be somebody around others. Your mind is still, your consciousness is conscious in a way where preference becomes the emanation, the spark is the awareness to all that is here. It's the knowing. And remember, Mr.Within would always like to say, realization for the lost is found in an instant of knowing. Once you go beyond calling your memory memory, you begin to see it is holding aspects of your experience present in a simultaneous view. What that means is the novelty of the moment suggests I can look at everything, but my awareness of my memory of the past seems to be like, gosh, but I've only seen that. How else can I see it? Do you see? It is the space. We are a creative phenomenon. And so perhaps the reason we don't trust it, because deep down we know that we are progressing. Our consciousness does not need to be individualized. Some great teachers have come and said, be very compassionate. You know, there's a reason the Dalai Lama smiles very peacefully. But you must realize that before compassion can be really done, in a sense, you must become sincere and honest with yourself. Because compassion does not mean in one moment be something like this, in another moment forget the cause. You see, when our currency, the problem with currency is not the financial and not the economies per se. It's just the amount of human attention that is on dollar bills, you know? It's like trees never understood why they would get attention so much, you know? It's like a tree's nightmare, you know? A tree is like, I want people, you know, to come in the park and see me, you know? But suddenly mankind chops up the tree and makes dollar bills, you know, for some reason, you know, and looks at those trees, you know? And it's, man is playing a game with manifestation, for he is not aware of the interpreter of reality, for he is thinking there has to be a certain interpretation. What that means is if you're still talking about truth, buddy, your eyes need to close and you need to look within. You need to begin to see that there is no voice here that can guide you as much as your voice. And your voice is your greatest vision. Trust me. It's as if I have noticed in my kind of going into nature, sitting by a stream, you know, meditating, or, you know, just sitting down, and you kind of go into flow naturally, so you know. But pretty much, I noticed that the awareness to senses is a vision beyond. When you reach the edge of this plane of existence, there are no words, but there is an experience that is continuing. What that means is you don't need a near-death experience story for conviction. You know, you need to become more aware to how you've been experiencing life, and suddenly you break your limitations. You know, it's like internally you fix your perception, and you see, gosh, I thought I had to go do this thing, I thought I had to go get this thing to be happy. No, happiness was when the being took an existential responsibility, and there he let go of an idea who had to be in a certain way, to had to get something you want, and just be, in a sense, instead of doing anything, in a sense, the being was. So when beingness is made aware of, you are not limited to the doingness that was suggesting a certain life, for the state of consciousness is different. What that means is, if we were to look at the design of, let's say, if we were to put some, like, I don't know, some tablecloth on a table, right? You know, and if we were to observe that cloth on the table, if you went and just raised one corner of the tablecloth vertically, you know, a flat tablecloth, you would see one point of focus change the whole structure of how there was organization there. Do you see? In an instant, your whole reality can shift, in the sense that the guilt is not something that will go away. Your eyes will move away from it. Your eyes will move away from judgment. Your eyes will move away from distinction in the regards to hating someone and liking someone. You know, don't like someone if you're disliking someone. That's Mr. Within's rule. You know, either like your whole moment of being, or become aware of why you're disliking things. And existential maturity will find you not relevant, perhaps, to your regular daily self, but relevant to you, how you are internally receiving this world. Mr. Within believes there is a very, very grand, chaotic poet within everybody, you know? With everybody who's trying to do something orderly, there's exactly simultaneous in that moment a possibility to learn from its lack of order. Because when man begins to see that infinity is not just an experience through form, he will become rooted into utilizing this body more naturally. Even many of the greatest teachers recognize that mankind cannot develop into its greater bodies unless some parts of the tablecloth, for example, you know, were smoothed out or were stopped being pulled into a certain way. You know, we need to become aware that the greatest contribution is your existential attention. And so there, in your existential attention, you would be grounded within where you are even feeling your story of being. It is a very simple thing, guys, because I am not telling you what's in the mirror. You are telling yourself what's in the mirror. And once you become aware of it, when you see existence doesn't have to be a story to be talked about, but it's actually how much you're exploring your direct experience, not even having it bound to internal and external dimensions, even though that is a way of acknowledging it. It's as if on some level the human being is having an experience of cause and effect, but simultaneously there is an experience that is observing that cause and effect in the stillness and the silence of this whole cosmos. There is the presence originating into a new platform. So sometimes, actually, when you go beyond the system, your personality dissolves, not in the way that it dissolves. You are aware of everything you've been aware of since birth. It's just that you realize that you no longer have the same impulses, and naturally you work with the rhythm. So you see, right now many people are basing their personalities in regards to how they're working through their environment, and how different social systems have developed, how you talk to others, let's say. But you will begin to see what will happen is the human being becomes more compassionate, because he's recognizing us and becoming more existentially aware as technology frees us from the chains of hate, from the chains of lack of sharing. We will begin to see that man's consciousness is leading to a point where the personality will become passionate too. What that means is when someone comes here and let us say we are all abundant, let us say we're in heaven and we're having a conversation, you will see you will not just give everything to me if I asked you if we were in heaven. Do you know, you would see that everything would manifest, everything would be there. So communication is kept in limitation, for it originates in that realm where the dynamic is put in that way. What that means is the echo might not like it, but there was only the voice. Remember who you are. For man was never alone.